Belief is a funny thing. I've had all of this knowledge within me for a long time now. I've been working on this for basically the last 4 years, extensively. It's evolved significantly, especially over the last 7-8 months and the last 2 years. But the truth is, this has been my mission, my journey, my faith, my oath, my prayer, my wish for 33 years. I'm 33 now. I don't believe in coincidences. And I had all this knowledge, I had all these skills, but I just didn't believe. I was too worried about the superficial. I was too worried about, well, why? Why should I talk about this stuff? What if people don't listen? What if people judge me for like my hair being long? Like, you know, like all these things, and you ask yourself, but wait, why? Shouldn't they care about the message? Why am I focused on that? Why? And that's when you realize I'm aware of so many of the tactics and the strategies and the disruptions and the problems that I call it the dark one. I believe that there's an entity up above, or whatever you want to call it, or maybe it's literally next to me right now, that has taken control of this world for a while now, has enslaved us. And it has enslaved the key individuals in key industries that have influence and have control and have impact. And now that I know, this is the only warning I will give to people, but it's actually a blessing. Once you know, the attacks ramp up. Mental attacks, psychic attacks, physical attacks. People literally trying to stop you daily. It's funny once you catch it and you see it. Truly, you laugh at it. You're like, oh my gosh, you're afraid. The thing that wants to create fear in everyone, take their energy, make them insecure, make them hate, make them cause other problems, destroy families, destroy everything, just for its own greed, because it relies on what we talked about on the last stream, energy, life energy, right? Like everything we do is energy. It wants more of it. But I'm aware of all of the tactics that it does, and yet still, even being aware of it, sometimes like they try to shoot an old trigger or trauma at me, and I'm like, ooh, like it's like you got slapped, and you're like, it burns a little bit, but I'm okay. Think about that. Even being aware of it, even having figured out how to heal traumas. I've healed PTSD, I've healed insecurities. I'm a healer at heart. And even then, it still can cause disruptions. It can still make me slow down. A few minutes, a few seconds, maybe an hour. But imagine those who aren't aware that it's happening. They don't even have a chance. They don't even have a chance. They literally think that there's something wrong with them. They literally think that they're broken. And they're not. They're amazing. They're incredible. The person who they were, who they always are, they forgot. Literally, part of the Dark One's mission is to make people forget. And we talked about it 2 days ago, but essentially, it's like there's a memory totem. And every time you get a reminder or a memory or something happens, it gets pushed to the top. And your brain can only handle so much. The other stuff still exists, but they're just not. It's like out of sight, out of mind, right? So if they get below the line, they're out of sight. So that's why they keep reinforcing negative things, bringing it back to the top, bringing it back to the top, bringing it back to the top, so that you're basically, the majority of your things are negative. And then you start forgetting the good stuff because they're down here. They're so out of sight of mind, you know? And then what can they do? Now they can start changing things. They can start taking off some screws and adding a new one that's had actually like some kind of disease on it. And before you know it, you've changed. And a lot of people are like, wait, so it's changed bad? I'm like, no, on the contrary. Like, you should be changing every day. But it's your decision. Now, of course, nudges and influences are always going to happen. You can't even look at, you would have to operate with your eyes closed to not get nudged or influenced. But you know who you were originally. Right? Like, think about all the experiences you had as a child, and maybe you learned it was a mistake, some of those things, and you changed your mind. That's fair. But when you're like, wait a minute, let's say you go back to something that you used to love. For example, for me, video games, listening to music, like movie music, things of that nature. Watching my soccer team, my German soccer team, Bayern Munich, and I stopped doing it. And I completely forgot about them. And maybe I'm like, yeah, I don't like video games. I don't like this. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, but then all of a sudden, like, let's say someone, my brother or like a friend or my parents, they nudge me to do those things. And I start playing video games again. I start listening to movie music. I start watching my soccer team again. And I'm like, I was laughing. I was happy. I was smiling. Like, it just felt good. Like, I'm like, and now it could be that maybe like someone manipulated me, but do you see what I'm talking about? Like, you ask yourself, how is that possible? Did I forget who I was? You did. And it wasn't an accident. The sooner you can come to terms with that there are no coincidences in this world, the sooner you start to regain control of your narrative. There are 0 coincidences in this world. So that begins you down the path of enlightenment. You know, did you ever want to know how someone made this great discovery of forbidden knowledge? That's what's happening here. I'm going to talk to you about all of my notes that I've written. I have like 1 million notebooks of notes of things that I've discovered and experienced. And here's the key difference, just for people who might be contemplating whether I have credibility or not. First of all, it's up to you. Doesn't matter what I say. Second of all, these are my experiences. I didn't copy some spiritual influencer. I haven't listened to anyone in forever. These are all from my experiences and from my guides. So with that, I want to start with going a little more positive. That was just a warm-up recap